All right, so common question, what percentage of my revenue should I spend on marketing? Or what percent of my goal, right? Those are two very different numbers, by the way, but let's start with the goal. Now, I'm going to walk you through appliance information anonymously just to give some sample numbers. So their goal is $20 million this year. They generate about 330, sorry, not 330,000, 3.3 million in existing customer revenue in the last year. So that means things like memberships or just existing customers calling in. So we're able to segment that data inside of ServiceTitan without using an existing customer campaign. In this example, that would mean that in order to hit their goal, marketing would need to generate $16.7 million in new customer revenue. So then we have to think about how are we going to get there? And this is a really simplified version of the much more in-depth work we do. However, let's say we're going to be on Google Ads and we think it's going to get a 5 return on ad spend. Now, that's pretty damn good for non-brand, and we always separate brand versus not brand. Now, meta ads, say we're going to target a 6, print, target of 4, listings, an 8 because we group LSA into listings, mail, a 4. When is where it gets crazy, but let me walk you through it. This client specifically actually generates about $5 million in the last year on their website. That's various things like Google Business Profile, off page, like all these different calls could be coming in from all these different places. That's their brand equity they've developed over the last few years. It's usually congruent with how old you are, how long you've been advertising, but we're going to use this as the benchmark. Now, Google Ads, we're planning on spending $1 million this year. Sorry, hard to count my zeros as I'm talking. And then Meta, let's say 360,000. Print, we're going to do 120,000. 360 on local listings. Sorry, 180. And then we'll spend $3,000 a month on SEO. Some might say that's a, let's see, 180 or 138 return on ad spend. Funny, I know, but that's how SEOers work these things. So in this example, it does work out that a 10% marketing budget for this client specifically makes sense because we've done the math that if we hit these performance metrics per channel and spend these amounts per channel, it does add up to about the goal. So we basically are budgeting for this exact client, and you have to do the homework every single time. You can't just say 10% because it doesn't always make sense. Here's another good example. Now, we have another client who has a much bigger goal, right? 50 million, but they've been around for a really long time. So they have about 25 million in existing customer revenue, meaning customers who call them back year after year that they can count on is probably going to be the same in this upcoming year. And further, their website generates closer to 15 million every year. So that means they could literally have the exact same budget of $2 million in the context of the $50 million goal. That is only 4%. Why? This client has been around for about 50 years. So that to say, you have to do this exercise, do the math, have your agency show you the math, and make sure that it aligns and you're not overspending or underspending in the context of hitting your goal. I've got another example for you. Imagine you're just starting out and you don't have the luxury of existing website revenue and existing customers. You've got big dreams. I want to show you what someone else brought up recently, which was investing in your company when you're just starting out. Even though marketing can be very expensive, right? Like you can have a 4-to-1 or a 5-to-1 return on ad spend, and in a silo that's not super profitable. If you're just investing in growing your business and you're happy to sacrifice profits for revenue in the beginning, you can expedite building up your database and building up your brand equity by doing this early on. Now, obviously, you might not start at 2 million and gamble that you're going to get 10 million your first year, but you can see how a percentage of marketing that's on the higher side can overcome someone who doesn't have a historical brand equity or existing customer database to build on top of. So it is crazy to have a 20% marketing budget, I agree, but at the same time, if you're investing in your brand and you want to get it up and going faster, I don't think it's anything to frown upon.